let's talk about what might just be the single most critical skill for anyone trying to succeed in today's world. I'm talking about the ability to learn new things, and to learn them fast. I want you to really think about this for a second. With AI changing everything and new challenges popping up constantly, what is the one skill that really gives you an edge? The one skill that underpins every other skill you could possibly want? The answer is pretty simple. It's not what you know right now, it's how quickly you can learn something new. The old model of spending years in a classroom, it's just not cutting it anymore. To get ahead and stay ahead, we need a whole new game plan.
And that game plan has a name: Ultralearning. It's basically a strategy for acquiring skills at a ridiculously fast pace. And if you think that sounds like an exaggeration, get this. The author, Scott Young, put it to the test by completing MIT's entire 4-year computer science degree in just 12 months. This isn't about being a genius. It's a system, a set of rules that anyone can follow.
So how in the world is something like that even possible? Well, it all boils down to 9 core principles. Let's start with the first 3, because these really lay the foundation for everything else we're going to talk about.
All right, principle number 1 sounds obvious, but it is so important. You have to know exactly what you're trying to achieve. You know, most people don't fail because they're lazy. They fail because their goal is way too fuzzy. If your target is blurry, your results are going to be blurry too.
I mean, just look at the difference here. Learn English well isn't a goal, it's a wish. But master 500 new words in 30 days, now that is a target. It's specific, it's measurable, and it turns this big, scary ambition into a mission you can actually tackle. And that gives you these little wins along the way that keep you motivated.
Okay, next up. We have to fight against our brain's natural tendency to just forget stuff. Most of us learn by just rereading our notes or rewatching a video. But here's the tough truth. Your brain barely holds on to any of that. There's a much, much better way. It's a technique called active recall. So, instead of just rereading a chapter, you close the book and you force yourself to explain the key ideas out loud, from memory. And yeah, it feels hard. You're gonna forget things. But that struggle is the whole point. It shows you exactly where the gaps in your knowledge are, and it forces your brain to build much stronger connections to that information.
So, you're actively recalling information, but when should you be doing it? Well, this third method is all about timing. It uses the science of memory to make sure what you learn actually sticks around for good. This is basically a hack for your brain's forgetting curve. See, our brains are wired to delete information we don't seem to be using. Spaced repetition works by having you review something right at the moment you're about to forget it. And every time you do that, you're sending a powerful signal to your brain that says, hey, pay attention, this is important. As you can see, just a few minutes of smart, timed review is way more powerful than hours of cramming. Okay, so we've poured the foundation. But how do we go from just knowing something to actually mastering it? The next 3 methods are all about how you practice.
We've all heard the phrase, practice makes perfect, right? But that's not exactly true. Not all practice is the same. Ultralearning demands a very specific kind of practice, one that constantly pushes you just outside your comfort zone.
And here's the huge difference. Traditional practice feels good because you're just doing what you're already good at. Deliberate practice, on the other hand, is uncomfortable. It's about finding your single biggest weakness and just hammering away at it until it becomes a strength. This is how you break through those frustrating plateaus and see real improvement. Let me tell you a hard truth. Simply taking in information is not learning. You can read 100 books on a topic, but you haven't really learned anything until you can use it or apply it, or even better, teach it to someone else. Real learning happens through output. There's a reason this quote is so well known. When you force yourself to teach something, or write about it, or build something with your new knowledge, it immediately shines a spotlight on all the things you don't really understand yet. Getting that kind of feedback from your own output is like a supercharger for your learning. You know, isolated facts are super easy to forget. The best learners don't just collect pieces of information, they connect them. The goal here is to build a mental web, where every new idea you learn hooks into something you already know. This makes everything stickier, more memorable, and way more useful. All right, we've got our foundation and our practice methods. Now for the final, and maybe most important piece of the puzzle. Making sure your new skill actually works in the real world. These last 3 methods are all about closing that gap between theory and reality. Have you ever learned something perfectly by yourself, but then completely froze up when you had to do it in front of people? That happens when the way you practice doesn't match the way you're going to have to perform. To fix this, your training needs to feel like the real deal right from the very beginning.
Let's use learning business English as an example. Sure, you can read a textbook, but that's not going to prepare you for an actual meeting. Instead, you should be simulating that meeting. Write a real report in English. Record yourself giving a presentation. The closer your practice is to the real thing, the easier it'll be to perform when it actually matters.
Now, this next one sounds so simple, but it might be the hardest one for all of us. We live in a world that is designed to distract us, and we lie to ourselves and say we can multitask. But the science is crystal clear on this. Your brain cannot multitask. It just switches between tasks really, really fast, and every single switch costs you focus and energy.
And the price you pay for distraction is just huge. Research shows that 1 hour of deep, uninterrupted focus can be up to 5 times more effective than an hour of trying to learn with your phone buzzing and notifications popping up. The takeaway is simple. The quality of your attention is so much more important than the quantity of time you spend.
And finally, we have the glue that holds all of this together, your mindset. Look, intense learning is tough. It's a marathon. That initial burst of excitement will fade, and burnout is a very real danger. To actually cross the finish line, you have to learn how to manage your own psychology and your energy for the long journey ahead.
And that's it. That is the complete Ultralearning framework. It's a system that takes you all the way from building a foundation, to practicing for mastery, to finally applying your skill in the real world. Let's do a quick recap of the whole playbook.
So there they are, the 9 principles. And remember, this isn't just a random list of tips. It's an interconnected system designed to help you master pretty much any skill you want, way faster than you ever thought was possible.
The ability to learn is the ultimate superpower in the world we live in today. So, now that you have the playbook, there's really only one question left to ask yourself. What is the first skill you're going to master?